Hey guys, how are you doing? This is Zeb from Zed Outdoors and I hope you're having an awesome day. So today I am with Nico, the Wispelaere from...
Handvermaakt.
How are you doing, Nico?
Yeah, doing fine, Zed, thanks.
Right. Nico's name I've been practicing off camera for the past hour to make sure I pronounce it correctly. And when it came to his brand name, I was like, you've got to say it. Otherwise, I would have completely mispronounced it. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Nico, Nico is a very talented maker from Belgium, more specifically in Bruges. We met earlier in the year at another British-based green woodworking event, and we're currently at the Bowl Gathering in the west of England. Now, with that being said, I want to say a quick thank you to Will Sinclair and Yoav LKM, the organisers of the Bowl Gathering and the ones who managed this particular location, for allowing me and Nico to film this video. Now, this video that you're watching is part one of a two-part series I'm going to be filming with Nico on this particular visit down to see him. Now, in his first part, what we're going to be looking at is Nico's entire process for carving a cooking spoon. We're literally going to be starting from a raw piece of wood all the way to a finished product. Now, in part two, as long as we have time to film that today, what we're going to be doing is actually looking at Nico's process for corrosing. Now, the caveat with Nico is his background is as a trained tattoo artist back in Belgium. He's a very talented tattoo artist and corroser. And so in part two, what he's going to be doing is actually corrosing and showing his methodology of corrosing like a tattoo artist, but actually corrosing the spoon that we're going to carve in this particular video. Now, what we're going to do straight after this segment, we're going to look at a bunch of examples of spoons that Nico has carved, so you can get a flavour into his work if you haven't seen it before. And we're also going to talk a little bit about Nico's background so you can learn more about him as an individual as well as a maker, and then we're going to get straight onto the process. Now, to help facilitate this video, a couple of things are going to happen. Number one, you can see this is a long video. That's because we're going to show the entire process. Now, to help facilitate that, what we've done is we've time-stamped every single section of this video. So if you hover along the timeline, you can see all the different sections marked out. Now, below this video, you will also see the different timestamps of all the different sections. And on the left-hand side, you will see all the actual times. YouTube has a very cool feature. If you click on those times, it will jump straight to that particular section. So as you move forward, you want to use this video as a reference material, which we really encourage you to do so. Then using that timeline will help you skim through this video to get to the part that you want to watch. Now, the second thing to mention is, as we spoke and we were planning for this video, Nico has very kindly prepared an actual template, a downloadable template that you can access for free of the cooking spoon that is going to be demonstrated in this video. To access that, there will be a link below in the description as well as pinned to the top of the comments. And so the ability then for you to go download that completely for free, print that off, and then hopefully replicate what Nico is going to be outlining in this video. And so those are the two main things to remember. Like I said, the timestamps and the fact you can download the template for this particular cooking spoon. So I think we shall begin. Nico, are you ready to go?
All ready for it, yeah.
Right.
Let's go.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed the rest of this video where Nico is going to be teaching you how to carve a cooking spoon. So Nico, before we look at your selection of spoons, for those that are not familiar about you as an individual and also about yourself as a maker, would you talk a little bit about your background?
Yeah, well, I studied art school for like 6 years, and then I went on a route to start tattooing. I was heavily influenced by art and playing around with different canvases, and that drove me away to tattooing. And then I started tattooing as a full-time, self-employed person. And after that, it kind of, connected me with like exploring more types of canvases. And on an outdoor trip, I became like really hung up to spoon carving. And I also had a 360 degrees change of work. I went from tattooing to educator, and then I went to arborist. And now I'm a full-time arborist as well, next to my crafting.
And this is in Belgium, yes?
Yeah, this is all in Belgium, yeah. And yeah, that's how it went. And then I had like, my circle was complete. Now I do arborist work. I get really nice pieces of wood that I can give back to the people where I work for, create some beautiful stuff, spoons and bowls. And so yeah, for the moment I'm like carving and boltering.
And you have started to teach a little bit as well, haven't you?
Yeah, on recent events I try to teach as well, like on the Spoon Festival in Flanders and on the one in Holland as well. And I do some workshops as well, small workshops at home in my garden. I have a lovely big garden with big trees in it, and we can sit in the shade and yeah, have a lovely time there. And it's pretty.
What kind of things do you teach at your workshop?
For the moment, I teach a lot like spoon design, how to like get a nice crank and ergonomically handles and stuff like that. And also I do some coil rosing. I give teachings of coil rosing and yeah, beginner spoon carving. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you for sharing that. So looking at your selection of spoons here that you carved, if maybe we start at the end over here, would you like to talk a little bit about this spoon?
Yeah, well, I have. You can see on the table here, I have a lot of different kinds of spoons portrayed here. It's because I'm still in the search for like which design suits me the best, which gives me the best canvas to play around dynamically on a spoon. So I'm heavily influenced by other makers. So like this one is, you could tell by the beginning, that's like I try to like copy like Adam Hawker here. I have some kayak spoons influenced by Maximilian Woodsman's Finest. Some bowl designs like influenced by Lee John Phillips and Lydia and stuff. So yeah, and Deborah. So I'm really in the search for like what I like to play with, because this gives me like a really nice curved one. I can play with the fibers. This kayak gives me then a lot of canvas to play with, a lot of textures to play with as well. And if we go further up, I can like wrap around it as well, put some on the back designs. Yeah, searching always. I always test my spoons, eating, and see how that goes, and yeah, keep evolving. Like this one is like heavily informed like by Dave the Bodge's like dolphin spoons. Try to play with that, how that goes. So yeah, still searching a lot, which gives me the most out of it. So yeah, here I got some. These are the recent forms I really like. I really like the organic shapes, like really voluptuous, like generous forms. So I keep ending up with creating these ones for smaller eating spoons and even bigger ones. So yeah, gives me like a lot of play.
And just to kind of mention that the coil rosing designs, we'll be talking in detail on the second video.
Yeah, of course, yeah. So I was thinking, since I've been coming back to this form, I would love to like show you guys like how I do this one, this type of cooking. It's like a hybrid. It lends nice for cooking as well, but it's also really nice to get some servings out of it. And yeah, really enjoy making these ones as well. It has a lot of dynamics going on, a lot of basic principles to carving. So yeah, if you're up for it, I'm happy to show this, how you carve this cooking spoon.
So Nico, beginning the process, where would you like to start?
Well, we just start off with our wood we have. What we have on the menu today is like, we have a nice piece of alder. And I just took out a small billet. I split it up from a bigger log.
And just one question I do have, just out of curiosity, people may be interested, including myself. So back in Belgium, what kind of wood selection do you typically work with?
It's quite similar to the English varieties we have. Like we have a lot of beech, poplar, willow, oak, chestnut, but most of the time we also get a lot of fruit trees like applewood, pearwood, plum. So yeah, it's kind of like the northern hemisphere. It's like the same style of woods you get, so nothing exotic. Sometimes you get like a Ailanthus, like the tree of heavens. That's a really special one to carve. But yeah, no, we get a lot of alder as well. Like this one is really common. It gets felt or coppiced a lot, so we got plenty of these ones, just like willow and poplar. So yeah, it's also a really nice wood to start off with. It's really soft. It's really forgiving in a way. If you go to the pear woods or like the harder woods like oak and chestnut, it gets really hard on the hands, and like if you want to start carving, it's not as pleasant. So yeah, I think alder will do perfectly right now. And it's also, yeah, they say it's called like a poor man's wood as well, because it's a bit softer and it doesn't like last that long.
And is there a particular wood species that you like to work with?
Oh yeah, I really like rowan.
Oh really?
It's amazing. Yeah, you can get a really nice buttery finish on it, together with like fruit trees. Oh, I love carving fruit. It's because of the pores of the wood. It's so smooth. It's amazing. Yeah, really love it. Yeah. But yeah, today we have alder, so that's gonna work. So yeah, we'll start off like preparing the blank. I like to start off with like a clean straight blank. So that's what we'll start off with, and yeah, let's have a crack. So for this work, I mostly use my Solwood one. I like
Solwood Creations.
Yeah, I think it's number 2 one from Peter Kovac. Really lovely axe. The handle is so ergonomically. I own many axes, but I keep going back to this one. It's also pretty heavy. It's a heavy head, but I like carving with heavy stuff. So yeah, first off, I start with some reef cuts to make the work go easy, and then I just work my way down to create a flat. Because I'm orientating the spoon tangentially, so you can orientate the spoon in different ways in wood to have a different design of the grain. So I'm going to put up the spoon on top of here. Maybe I can show it like this. The spoon will be orientated like this in the wood. You can put it sideways, then you have side grain. But I really love the depth of the growth rings in the wood. And with alder, you can get really nice rings afterwards. So yeah, so now I want to thin it down, make a nice even blank. So the thing is important when axing, I see a lot of people like chopping like really hard with a lot of force, and that's why I like using a heavy axe. I can let the axe do the work. Like also like when I carve and I get stuck in between the fibers, I just push it open. Just chase that fiber so I can get a nice and clean surface to work with. So now let's get rid of the bark. See what's underneath it, a little bit of spalting. I always tend to work pretty high up, so you need to play the mouse and cat game with your fingers. But if you're not confident with that, it's good to work here just midway. Man, all this smells so nice. So yeah. Gonna carve the sides now, make a nice rectangular block. You see I creep up pretty high. If you're not confident, that's okay, just go to the middle and switch up the block like this. Always tend to put in the relief cuts, it's so much easier, you get less bouncing off the axe. So yeah, now we have like this block, pretty roughly shaped. I kept it quite thick, still like what, 2 fingers, so I have enough space to play with. So now I'm going to start with the kickback. I really like a nice kickback on spoons. It's like what you have here. This is what I learned from Mikey Elephant. He told me a kickback is also always very pleasant on the hand for holding it. So now we're going to initiate this first part on the blank, and then we can go over to the crank. So now we have the block, then we go over to the kickback. So you need to start pretty high up, just slowly creep to the top, and then you go in the pretty angle. So you move your block, don't move your axe, move your block to a steeper angle, search for the fibers, and then opening them up. And now I need to try to chase the fiber down, ripping it open, because I want to stay on the same fiber length. So I can get this. So you have the initiate kickback right here, and then you have a flat, and you can recognize it when you work tangentially, like with the long rings, just elongating along the way. So then you know you're pretty much on the same wood fiber to start off with. So yeah, now we can proceed to like axing in the crank. You have a lot of makers that use a saw for this, so I don't tend to use a saw for it. But what I mostly do is now I hack it in. I look for like 2.5 fingers. That's where I want my crank to be for this one, for this cooking spoon. So we always work with the rule of 3.
And what pencil are you using?
This is like the Wirtestift Magicus from Faber-Castell. It's a really nice one to like carve on greenwood with.
Thank you.
The thing is, it's a really nice pencil, but its smudge is really good as well. So I tend to go back to like just a normal pencil, but like the 2B graphite is way better. I tend to like that one very much. So now we're gonna start in with axing out the crank. I always start with just like getting in the middle, breaking up some fibers, and then I come out at an angle. Start deepening it out. Look at the depth I want, because I want a pretty steep angle. So yeah, so that's how we go. Just make something like that, easy peasy. You can also just put a nice saw in. You can use a saw to cut it out as well. That's the same. So now what we're gonna do is we have our nice saddleback, and I'm gonna chase back that line really thinly, so I have the feeling where it goes. So I take out a really nice shaving, have some planing cuts on it, and then I'm going to rotate, because I want this edge to be broken, because this is a steep edge. I want this edge to be broken. So I'm going to roll the blank now from this point up. I'm going to roll it gently with little axe moves. I'm going to roll it. Then I clean up a bit, so I have like a more gentler sweep, so you can see the saddleback, and then it goes back like this. And now we're gonna go on further with the crank. Make sure you have a nice position, you're really stable with it, and then use the tip of the axe just to gently get in there. And just notice how my tip catches the block. It's important, because when you do it further, you can swipe through. And that may be dangerous sometimes for your legs, so that's why my stance is pretty wide. I go down my legs, and now I gently creep to the front of the tip of my spoon. And here the same again. Now I'm following my previous cuts, gently downwards. Try to remember when you're doing this, most of the time, I think it will be the same here, you get an uneven cut. That's just biomechanics. Now I'll play with it like this. So most of the time you get an uneven cut. This side is slightly higher, so it's never too bad to check out again, once and again. It can help to put on your finger on the beard of the axe, so you have more control on which way the axe goes, so you can overcompensate like this. And then we can just gently clean up that hole, get that out of the way. Use my axe as a guillotine, so it's a bit more safer to work with. I like to clean it up, because when drawing I like a clean surface, so it's really important to like spend some extra time on your blank, and you can get a really crisp design on it. So now we have axed in the crank. So before I start drawing, I will start taking off some more meat on the back of the spoon, because we have a lot left on the back handle here and on the top face. So that's what we're gonna do now. Gonna look at the deepest point here will be your highest point on top of the spoon. So if it helps, you can mark it out again. Look at it, mark each side, go over it, and then just mark it up, so you know where not to take away too much mass. You want that a bit left to play with. So now come back again and do the same rolling motion with your blank. Just keep your axe at a 90 degrees and just roll your blank gently through it. And then you have a nice curve on it. Just like this. That works really nicely. Now this is quite the big mass, so I tend to work like with mountains. So the sides is easier to get rid of first. So we put some relief cuts again. Take away the sides. Do the same on the other side. Take away some mass. Like this. Then we get a new ridge. So we can take that ridge again. So that's easier on the hands. Some people just take off the whole lot. Just go heavy. But if you're not so confident or just like I'm trusting the process, then you can just like ease up on it and take away corners. Same here, back at the end I'm going to roll it over. Like this. So yeah, this is the blank. So now we can get over to designing.
So Nico, what's next in the process?
Well, next in the process is that we will be doing like the designing of the spoon. Most of the time I work freehand. Sometimes I worked like with a lot of templates in the back in the past. But now I really want to go with the flow with the wood, with the flow what's in my mind, see what comes out of my wrists. So I really like to just use some basic methods to start off, and then I start like doodling around. So yeah.
So just before you get into your process, this is where we'll interject and mention that obviously you're providing the template.
Yeah.
So obviously this is the point where people will use the template to draw around.
Yeah. And like I said, be creative. Like I will provide the template and just have your own way with it. Like if you want to add some more movement or you want to take something in a different approach, just go ahead with it, play with it. That's the thing I learned the most part of it. I just like looked at other makers, redesigned them on paper, the spoons, try to add or leave some stuff and just try to figure it out what works for you the best, what flow you like, what you like in the spoon as well. So yeah. So yeah, I will show you the process how I start off, and mostly I just start off with like a basic line. I saw this little neat trick from Deborah. So you put in some markings and you look over the blank and you can put them in pretty a straight line. So you can connect the dots in a way. So now...
And when you mention Deborah, in case people don't know...
Deborah Snibeli-Morel. Yeah, she's such a wonderful craftswoman. And then you just connect the dots and you can get a pretty decent straight line out of it. So that's pretty nice little trick. So now I like to start off with just sketching, roughly sketching out a circle to begin with, because you can use a compass for it, or that's all right if you want to do it more meticulously than I am. I really like the flow of things. And then I will mostly look at the rule of 3. They call it the golden cut, I think. So I always tend to copy 3, and then I know, okay, this is the height I'm going to end up with. It's something the rule of 3 is something you can find everywhere in nature. So it's a really good thing. The eye always wants something perfect, and the rule of 3 tends to give us that. So here I elongate the neck a bit because I want to really form a generous form here. So I'm going to widen up this part again as well. So I start off with here, meeting up this back and the crank. So you see my crank is here, but that is the handle. So my deepest point of my bowl will end up here. So you need to take heed of all those things as well when designing a spoon, is where you want to put your deepest part of the spoon. So now, I'm gonna start from the top and just make a gentle curve one side. Just a nice flow you like. You can adjust it anyways, anytime, anywhere, like this. Yeah. Connect it here, and then I will turn the spoon, try to mimic the other side, That's most of the times that's the hardest part, and that's only, you can get used to it just by training only. It's training your eyes. That's why I stopped using templates, because you get a little bit lazy in the eyes, and if you keep pushing it, keep searching for that perfect like form and thickness, and your eye gets trained. So yeah. So I've told like you, like I really like the wings, so I make 2 smaller ones, small circles, just free-handed, and just connect them this way. Just put them up somewhere you like. Just connect these like that, and then I'm going to try to make it one flow. So you see I can get like really messy on my spoon template before I get started hacking it away, leaving some beef on it as well. So constantly rotating it as well. Just like, I always end up making it more beefy than it will end up, so you have some playing space with the knife later on. It's always really nice. I tend to come back to my pencil during the process as well. So now it's all about sketching. I will make a right-handed one, so I like to give it a little tip to get nice in the corners.
And if people want to carve left hand, they would just swap that round.
Yeah, you would just put it any other place, or just leave it out as well. You can make beautiful ones just geometrical. And then I widen up the sides, so I can really get that wide, generous form that I'm searching for. That's the thing. Yeah, nice. That's what I want. So yeah, the thing I found really useful is to use like a bicolor pencil, like you have a red and a blue one, and that's really handy also. You can sketch first in the red one, you can have some sketching, and then you can alter to the blue one to do the finishing line work, and then it won't be that messy like this. But because it's so programmed in my head, I just know where to cut and where to carve away. So yeah, just sometimes I leave it on a table as well, then come back to it and have a look at it, and then, oh yeah, this handle doesn't fit that, or just show it to somebody else. That helps as well. Somebody else's view is like, well, this is more to belly, or this is that. So yeah, no. So yeah, we can get cracking. Back to the axe. Alright, now we get back to the axe block, and we can start axing out our form. I really like to play with it, and the most important part right now is like to make a mummy out of it. I think I learned from Mikey, and it's getting rid of the most mass of the wood. So we're gonna make like a sarcophagus out of it. So just the same principle, good stance, choke up your axe, and just make the relief cuts nice and easy. And now it's all about confidence. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. And it's like creeping as close as you can to your blank, to your design, is really, really important for me. I really like to do a lot of axe work, so it spares me on the knife. So yeah, now take a lot of looks, make sure you stay 90 degrees with the surface. Don't go in, don't go out. So that's really important. We're still forming our 2D form. So you see, always looking, always feeling. Sometimes the easy part is when I'm pushing this outside, the fibers, I can see where they are running off to. Sometimes they can run into your design, and that's the thing you don't want to happen. So you just like recarve again and see what it is. So this is like the mummy, just nice triangular shape. Now I'm gonna start in with axing in on the deepest points of my design. You can saw them with some nice stop cuts, but I like to axe, and I tell you why. Because when axing, you're more busy with the safety. When I start axing out, I always start away from the bowl. If I would start here, I can create micro cracks that go inside my bowl, and that's the thing I don't want to have. So I start with my cuts here, and then I work here. And it was actually Adam who told me, like, you go very lightly, you create a gap in between, and you go really lightly with the axe. And you can fray away some wood fibers really gently. You can creep really close to the design. Ah man, I found it so fantastic when he showed me this. So we can creep really nicely without having the chance of overcutting with the saw. I have complete control of where I'm heading at. I even put my finger on it just to know where it's at. I can creep up really, really closely. So you can see, I just stay away a millimeter or so from my design. So I know, okay, need to stop there. So now second part, just the same. Cut away from the bowl, a few cuts in, so you're safe, so you're not gonna split it. First trying to make my way down. Nice, make it even wide. You can go wider and wider, so you have that middle ground. You can fray away with the axe. You see me also torquing, taking off the short fibers now, going down, fraying a bit. Really gently downwards, always checking. You can never glue parts back on it, so it's really important to check out. So yeah, now we have the sides cut in. I can work my way up, proceed to the next step. So you can choose, if either way you will go over this side, you will finish the bowl, but the only thing is you risk of, if you have less meat here, you risk when you're cutting this part off to hit in the bowl. So we leave that standing for a bit of safety. So really gently, really light axing. I'm just letting the axe hit on the wood. I'm also using the strongest part of my axe, closest by my hand, to do the work now. And I really gently let it flow downwards. And when I come close, I try to stop it. Now I'm really using my body mechanics and my wrists to just nicely let it stop close to the design. So this is where I want to be at. Still a bit beefy, but that's perfect. So now the more difficult side is one we don't see. And I remember Dan Lawrence like doing crazy stuff with ambidextrous axe work. Really impressive. So you never have a blind spot in your axing. So gently, ever so gently. This is the most crucial part. When you overstrike, you will not see it in the beginning, but you have the risk of making hairline cracks in there, and that's something you only see when you're finishing up the spoon. And believe me, been there. If a maker says he doesn't, don't believe him. So now finishing up the handle a bit, same way, creeping up close to the design. Feel comfortable with that. I don't want to work too much on here again, because this is now a weak point, as it is still beefy. So now I put it on the edge of my axe block. You can choose here or here. It's nice to have like a little step so you can rest it. And then you will move your axe. Instead of your spoon blank, you will be more altering the way your axe is working. So now again, the same with axing out the crank. Just go easy. Don't rush it. Just go easy. Just flow with your wood. Like this is good enough for me. It's a bit beefy here, but that's good enough. The rest I can do with a knife. It's too much of a risk to over axe it. Just know where to stop. You know yourself the best. Like now I have too much vibration of the wood. I will put it here. Search for the 90 degrees. Always looking. Again with the lower end, with the beard end, the keel or the heel, depends on who's talking about. And if you don't have a bearded axe, that's okay. You can just use the lower part of your axe if you own a wood tools or a Hultafors or something else. Here again I can use the fraying a bit because I'm not too confident on this side. Fray it out. So then we have this. The 2D form is quite okay now. most of the form. You just need to cut over now the edges of the spoon. So ever so slightly again. Now we're gonna rotate back again. Straight, stay nice 90%, 90 degrees with your axe. Just really nicely rotate it. This side is always a more difficult one. Rotate your blank. Also very important, like with this alder wood you can get away with it, but if you have a piece of wood still sticking out, that's okay. Just saw it off, don't axe it off, because you will put too much tension on these fibers and you have a risk of splitting them. So now just looking at cleaning it a bit up, because yeah, I really like to have it really neatly to start off with. It means we can see everything really nicely. So tend up, yeah, I'm gonna do this one as well. Clean it up a bit more. It's all about the process. If you're more comfortable with stopping now and going back to your axe, to your knife, sorry, that's okay. That's okay. Just go with the flow that you like. So yeah, this is the part I get from a 2D to the 3D version. So I will hit over those corners and get a bit away of the meat I have right now left over in the spoon. So likewise the same. Now it's a chance you can overcut it and like end up here and slamming away all of the bowl. So again, creep a little bit ever so closely and just hit those corners off first. And keep reminding to keep slicing. Use your axe as a knife. Do a nice slicing motion. We're also a bit looking for now a bit more balance. Firstly. So now we can do it like this. So now we knocked off those corners, and then we're gonna round it off and follow the line. I'm rotating the blank right now. I like knife work, but I like axe work more. So I tend to do the most of my work with my axe. So we still have a beefy part right there. We still have the mark of our highest point on our spoon. So I will come back again from there, gently. Put in the last facet for my bowl. Bowls don't need to be really deep. For this serving spoon we have a bit of space, so we can make it a bit deeper. So yeah, so we have created like 3 facets on it. That's good enough. You can create even more if you want to round it off, but for now that's okay. So we're going to put some movement in the back of the handle, take away some meat. So now I'm going to get rid of those high points again and just slightly work my way down. Don't take away too much of this side. Just go in like this. Just ever so slightly again. Now I'm using more the tip of my axe because it's more subtle. It's more gentle. I can really use it knife-like. So that's nice. So now I have a beefy side still. I'm going to form it a little bit. Take it more down. We don't need all that wood yet. Still have plenty to play with. So yeah. Now I can axe it off here. You can also use your axe as a guillotine to get these end cuts off. Clean it up a bit more. Yeah, so that's it. That's where I want to go with my blank, and now we can go over to knife work.
So Nico, what's next in the process?
Well, we finished off with axing. We got the nice 3D form right now. First off, before I start like with the curves and putting in the final forms, I like to like clean up my edges. So I like to go around with my knife, put in the 2D form really tightly, so I have everything nice in place where I want it to be. So yeah, we'll start off with that. I have my roughing out knife from Cayenne Bredson. It's a really nice, neat little knife with a hollow grind on it. Gets really sharp, so really stud knife to have my working with.
And is that a handle you put on yourself, or?
Yeah, yes, it's from some scrap wood. I just burned it to give it some more appetite because yeah, I didn't have such nice woods laying around. I think it's some normal beech. Yeah, it will be beech I burned. So yeah, just put it in there, glued it in there. So yeah, they mostly come unhandled, the knife. So it's pretty cool to have a play with the design. And yeah, also like I like to use a budgie bib. It's just a piece of thick veg tan leather that prevents me from cutting into my t-shirt. And my wife really appreciates it when I use it because yeah, otherwise I will get into big trouble. It also really gives me a hand on really pushing in the spoon towards myself and even like getting up really high with the knife without the risk of cutting myself. So now yeah, I would just start off with like putting on my drawing, maybe correcting some stuff, using different knife grips. So you can see I always assist my dominant hand with my non-dominant hand to get some nice cuts, try to get some nice form in it. So I just play around, I go back and forth. There's no methodical way on first doing the ball. The only thing I do is I do the neck as the last thing because that's the most fragile one. So I always want to have like a nice cut. Like now I'm coming out the corner. I know with alder, if I would push it through, I can split off a whole piece. So now I just come back and get over that so I can have no fraying or anything else. The thing is with carving is you always need to think you want to go down the hill. If you go up the hill, you always cut into the wood fibers, and that's the thing you don't want to have. You create cracks or things, but yeah, you don't want that to happen. You can also sometimes get away with cutting up the grain, but then you need a really sharp knife and really know what you are doing. So I have thumb push here. So yeah, I think Wille or Yoga, I always get them switched up, have a really nice fit on knife grips. I think it's supported by Mora, how you pronunciate it. So now still really like to keep that 90 degrees. I'm not giving any form right now, just getting out all of my axe marks that may cause some trouble to my final form giving. I really like the thumb pivot. It really gives me a lot of power and a really lot of play. Right now I'm not concerned about like creating the smooth lines right now. I'm just really focused on my drawing. So don't go crooked here, just stay straight again. And here gently come into the neck so we don't put out too much. Turn around, do the same. Always check, it's really important. Yeah, like I said, I will put many movement in it, so I'm quite happy with that around all over right now. So I can transition now to my neck. So I have the wings, so that can be sometimes really challenging. So now I really want to use my tip of my knife and make a nice turning movement. So I use my dominant hand to get the movement, and I use my non-dominant hand who's pushing it. So I really want to get in that tight curve, pushing it in and turning my sloy knife really nicely around and looking to creep to establish this nice curve. I'm not looking at this right now. Just trying to establish that one. A bit rough still, but that's okay. Get in there so we have nice wing. Same on the other side again. Just start off like just making some curls. Do not try to get rid of those curls, not yet. They can stop your knife so you don't dig in too far. They give really nice guidance on how to get there. You also really can see nicely where you want to go. Like this. It's also a little trick to help you get a clean end in the neck. So really, now I'm carving upwards to the grain a bit, playing with that. So I push up the grain, so like you have the little flares. So now I can come back on top of my spoon and really gently start taking away with the base, which is more powerful, more controlled. I really have a closed body mechanics. I cannot get anywhere else. It's really controlled. Try to look at it. Try to like get up, get down, like this. Then go back. It's a game of back and forth. Now, you don't need to finish it off right now yet, because you will take off a lot of meat. Same here. Just, yeah, you don't have that much of a view, so you take off less. Go in small steps first. So that's the most, it's patience. That's the thing spoon carving gives you. It's like, gives you a lot of benefits. You just take it slow. Like this is good enough for me. It's a bit fuzzy still, but I'm happy with that. It's portrait on it. Still need to go a little bit deeper on the side wings here. So use the tip again of my knife, turning and using my thumb, just pushing it up. Yeah. Clean it up. Yeah, that's great. So now I have put on the design neatly, kind of tight. Need to look at it from a distance sometimes, and you know, like something's off. Turn it around, keep it in the sun, keep it in something light, so you have like a vision of like, this belly is a bit too thick. I have the sense it's my left hand, my right hand side of my spoon is a little bit too thick, so I'm gonna take a bit of the shaving, ever so slightly, bit off, because I tend to find it's a bit off. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, cool. So next step is I'm going to create the top, because my top is my most important part of my spoon. So I want to have that saddleback, really generous sweep. So I start in again off the corner, and I go really aggressively. I go in and I go out. I go in and I just let my knife pop out like this, and I pull it down towards here, and I look to the side if that sweep is enough for me. I really like to have my dominant part in the back here, so I'm gonna push it even more. That's why I leave so much meat on the back. I wouldn't do a saddleback, I would make it even thinner, but I really want that to be generous. Really like the flow of lines. To see that playing around with the sun and the light. So this is like the form I want to initiate firstly. Put a nice bend in there. Gonna do just the same at the other side. It's more like blindly, so you need to do it really cautious. Also again, like this is where the bodge bib really excels in. Really, it's like sometimes I wax it, so it's a little bit more abrasive, so it doesn't run away. So the spoon stays really nice in place. So now ever check if we have the balance right. So I put my knife on it on the top ridge, so I can measure which side is too much, which side is not enough. So yeah, I can play with that. It's a good way to like checking if your spoon is parallel with the bowl and stuff. So just with the back of the knife. Yeah, it looks pretty okay. Pretty happy with that. So I come back to the top. Now I will take down the middle, because I have still a lot of movement to be making here. So I go really up and then I use my knife and slide it down. The cool thing about this is now you can like play with the facets. Add more facets. You can make it round. You can do whatever you want with it. So take off nice shavings, long shavings. That's the most important part. Try to make nice long cuts. Makes your life so much easier. Try to control your knife in a way. So now you can see the form beginning to get where I want. It has a bit of like the kickback with a bit of the dolphin spoon in there as well. So now I'm going to form this part of the spoon. We still have a flat space with a hard angle. So we want to get rid of that hard angle. I want to give a more pleasant eating way, or like this one, a serving way, so we can go a little bit more deeper. So first off, before I start making this one deeper, I just let this line communicate with my bowl. So now I'm going to like tear up. Sometimes you get nice cuts, like this is nice. The other side tears up a bit, tears out. That's okay, you can finish. Go back, we need to go back anyway. Now I'm going to join. Firstly, get rid of my pencils and join this part. Nice and soft, so it's nice and flat on there to communicate in the next bit with this part. So I like to keep this part straight. So I start here at an angle really gently at a 45 degrees. So I don't need to take away all the mass of the wood. And then I will start digging in to find my way to communicate with that edge. And now I'll be forming up. Now I did a small upwards cut against the grain. So ever so slightly against the grain like this, and then you can get away sometimes with cutting up against the grain. So this is, I'm looking like now on the side, I see this profile, and I want it connecting with my bowl. So just like really slightly, just make your way down and see how far you can get. Like again, cutting up the grain, twisting the knife a little bit, like that. So yeah, let's see where we're at now. Really light cuts. Really want some meat there still, so. Okay, so it really flows for me. That's okay, I will put in some more structure. And so yeah, that's what you want. Bit of a sweep, really gently. Then the second part, I like to call it the pistol grip. I don't know what's it otherwise called. Like, really works sometimes for me. Really with bigger spoons. Like with the tiny ones, I just have a different method. But with this one, I just can put it on my lap, really focused. I can still have my thumb for the beginning. And here I start from the edge. Use my tip of my knife and just like the same, try to look where I can communicate with the other edge on my spoon. Again, go a bit up the grain. If your knife is nice and sharp, you can get away with that. That's okay. Otherwise, you just need to work from the other side and just work like this. Then you need to communicate them, just like we did the neck transition. Just make them flow to each other. So now have a check on top of the spoons if you're the same way. Yeah. So now I put the 45 in. That's already the rim of my bowl, just to get away with those hard points that can chip off, especially with older. It's really prone to it's really difficult on soft woods to make little wings on it as well. If you have a harder wood, you can go way more detailed, way more chip carvy. So now I see I have a big lump that's like protruding in my neck. So that's what I want to get rid of. Come back at it again, because yeah, now it's the moment to see how it all flows. Yeah, we can go back to this because I want these more protruding. So now we have the bowl rim and the top. That's okay. I will do some quick on the back cleaning up because I want to have an even rim established. So I just, with the chest lever, just put my bib aside and I just like do the chicken wings or chest lever grip and just use my body mechanics again for like taking away big pieces of wood. So now I want to just make an even rim because the next step will be the bowl. And also take some weight off already from the handle. So again, like we did with the axe, just take away the sharp corners, go in here and work your way down the handle into the bodger bib like this. That's why I love my bodger bib. It's really handy. Getting those long cuts and just not caring about everything. Not worrying about cutting yourself. Now I'm going to try to communicate the top form with the bottom form. We don't need that much wood, but I need this wood here for the strength of the spoon. We'll show you why in a minute. So yeah, I'm just communicating the form, because if this is really wavy and this is straight, it will not work. It will just not match. So you need to try to communicate, make like a nice wavy. Now is the time also, like you can have a play with it. I'm just like taking off corners. I know I want to like make a really nice faceted back, because for the moment I really like nice straight lines and it's really pleasant for the fingers. It's really tactile, and that's the thing you need to think of when you're carving a spoon. It's really tactile. We feel so much, and if you make it really tactile, it's really nice to feel. So every time just go in between and feel like, yeah, this is okay, this is not what I want. Turn around, give it a spin, drink a tea. So yeah, I'm happy with now how this form is established, and we'll start on with the bowl. So yeah, now next step is like we're gonna start hollowing out the spoon, like really roughly. Just I want my depth to be correct, my width to be correct, and then we can just go back to the knife. And I like the game of like playing a bit back and forth with the knife and the spoon knife, because yeah, to reach a certain thickness and stuff. So most of the time I have different hook knives, and recently I've been a lot using my Beelzebub one. It's one of his first generations. It's a bigger one. His new ones are a little bit thinner, but yeah, they're really pleasant knives. It's a really, really nice guy as well. So yeah, really like using his stuff. So now I like using the guitar method. I think some rock star learned me. I think his name was Mikey. And just choke up on the knife and just start ever so slightly in the middle. Just take out a little bit. Just easy peasy. And just go wider and wider so you don't create mountains. That's the thing, if you create a mountain in your spoon, it's like, whoa, so hard to get rid of those. Believe me, been there, done that. So I always tend to go like really slowly downwards. And the cool thing is, because I put in the edges, I have a bit of like a line I can play with. So I can creep up onto it and I can see how thick I want to go with my 54-degree chamfer here. So if that's a help, you can draw it on. Sometimes that really helps people, like drawing on a few millimeters left, so you know where to stop with your knife, with your spoon knife. So this is the edge I'm aiming for right now, just to play with. Leaves me enough room to clean up my edges, to make it really nice and fluent. But now, yeah, we just dig in. So first we do like the cross grain cuts. That's the easiest one. Just take off the mass, because we had a big lump over here, so I want to get rid of that first. And then we'll get going with a mix of cross the grain, with the grain. But it's really important, like a spoon knife is not a knife you push. You really cut with it as well. So when you scooping it out, you're really using the slicing method, like I'm pulling. You make a monkey fist with your hand, and you hold it like a monkey, and then you just like pull the knife, so you can get really nice thin shavings out of it. And then communicating with my spoon, I turn it as I come to the base. I really like to turn and play with my spoon. It's not a fixed object, so we need to use that till our advantage. So yeah, ever so slightly creeping up to that rim, just like creating a shallow hollow, so I can have a play with. So now I'm focused mostly on this side, so now I need to do this side as well. So I just turn the spoon, keep it fixed on my lap, and just take away the mass before I start finishing up. Work my way towards the line again. So now we have pretty much like a flat or like shallow bowl. So what I'm now trying to do is like get in there with my spoon knife and create the deepest point here. It's the same, like we have our highest point here and we try to communicate it, and so this is the part where my spoon is going to be the deepest, and then work my way up like this to make it more shallower. It's really pleasant for eating, tasting, or like serving. Like the food needs to sit in the back. So now I turn my hook knife. It's a compound one. I turn it like a little bit more aggressive, so I have more cut. So I take more little cuts out to make it more deeper. So that's now where I'm focusing on. Also checking with how much meat I have on the back. So now I'm creating those mouth. Now I want to prevent now I'm creating too much mouth, and so getting out of that pit, working your way up. Man, those rays are nice. So this part I will attack on a different method. So now I'm going to like gently go work my way upwards to the rim. You see me cutting into my thumb, like I'm ever so slightly touching my thumb, and it doesn't cut me anymore. It's really a sense of feeling. If you have like the stress of cutting yourself, just use some tape or just hide your thumb more beneath your spoon. So that's the thing, you can just hide them. But I got so used to like using this. So now when I have that point almost established, now I'm going to cut with the grain, because that way I can attack the left hand side of my spoon way better, and I can get a nicer flowing finish on it as well. So in this way I just make up curls. I leave them here, keep them, not pull them off yet, because that could be bad for your spoon. So you see I use my non-dominant hand to assist me a little bit and creep up those edges. So now I'm coming from this side a bit, turn it more. So you see when you get catched here, you just stop, because you know that's a point you cannot go any further. So that's my deepest point. Also, you can just see how like thin my shavings are taking off. It's like really, really thin ones, just ever so slightly again. It's all about the game, like just taking it easy. So now I have all this fluff, you can rub it off, and then I will just go in opposite way. Do the same way, go with the grain, try to get a nice cut to communicate with the other fibers. And then I just do like cross grain to finish it up. get there. Get them connected again. And now I start with the back. I use the form of my spoon knife. So that's the thing that dictates my hollowing. So that's the form I choose now to have at the back of my spoon, where the food will sit. So now I turn it a little bit. Try to get that started. Feeling if there are any ridges now. That's okay. Cleaning up my bowl now, because this is not a finished bowl yet. But we have an understanding now what the depth's gonna be, what we want. And that's the thing, spoons don't need to be deep to pack a lot of food. That's the thing. So yeah, quick roughing up, quick cleaning out. So yeah, that's okay. So now we have the spoon done. Now we can go back to the knife. We have done the top. We'll go back to the back, get that nice and thin and evened out. Then we finish the bowl and finish everything. So the next step we'll go back to the knife. I will take this one. It's a Belzebu one. It's also a really neat knife, little one, a bit pointier than the one from KM Bretson, so that's why I choose this one, because next step we're gonna go out as well to the wings. So you need to have a good look at your knives as well, because each knife has its own purpose in a way. So now, yeah, we did the bowl. Now I'm gonna try to communicate it more, make it really nice and neat, because I know now how thick I can go. So we just work our way. I really like right now like a flat base with a rounded edge. So I just go over it, keep checking on the thickness. Because that's the thing, we don't want thick spoons. Though it's a serving spoon, we can leave some more thickness on it, but it's really nice if you have something really light and really, really elegant. So now I come up to here and I try to connect it with the neck. I don't want to stop, I want to keep it connected. Because when you stop, you get ridges and sometimes you keep carving away. So that's the thing you don't want to have. Again here, before you start cutting, it's most important you create some sort of like relationship with your wood. You have a feeling. Like when you put in a knife, sometimes like this, you know it's a really nice curve. But if I would do it like this, how can I show you? If I would cut upwards, I would make a tear. So sometimes you feel it before you start cutting, like, this is gonna tear. So you just take your knife back and just switch positions. It's really handy. Otherwise you keep making the ditch deeper. So now thumb pivot as well, I'm just going to take away a lot of mass. It's good to know, like, I know I have still some few millimeters left to finish the bowl. But now I want to finish this one here. Oh, little wasp. So yeah, that's the process of going back and forth and feeling and doing. So yeah. Let's see. So I was talking about the strength as well, because when you carve spoons, it really depends on the type of wood you're carving, how thin you can go. But you can defy the physics of nature sometimes, because like this now is really thin on top, but we leave enough mass beneath it, so it creates a really strong bond. If I would thin this out and keep this thin, it would just snap on you. So the most important part is, the rule is, do it thin that way, keep it fat the other way. that's normal. Like if you want it thin here, you keep it broad, like this. That's the thing. Yeah, it's just so important. You want them like really to be elegant, but yeah, but not. They may not break on you like just in a snap. I'm also looking at this. This may be my most broad side, and I want to thin it out this way and thin it out this way. That way you can get a really nice balanced spoon. If I would make a big clump at the end of the spoon, that would not fit. That would be really strange for the eye. Because this is alder, I will try to almost finish it, but I will go back over it when it's drier to get a really nice gleam on it, really nice sheen. Like the harder woods, you can sometimes carve the harder woods in just one pass, like a fruit wood or something you can carve in one pass, but like softer woods I tend to go back over it. They tend to oxidize as well, much more, and that's a thing I just, like here, I'm doing a rotating and pushing cut, so I go up to really clean out those wings. Here I'm going upwards against the grain. I know this knife can handle that, so that's pretty nice. Has a really steep angle I'm doing the knife work. So now is the moment to like, yeah, I'm gonna put some facets in here now, right now. Pretty happy with that, because on top I will go in, so I will clean this one up, get it nice and tight. Communicate this one as well. And put on the chamfer or thinner one. Yeah, it's okay. Okay. So now on top of the handle, get the chamfer going on here as well. So that feels quite nice. Get rid of that in a sec. So you see little lumps here, a little bit of tear out. Get rid of that as well. Some X marks still left. So I will leave that, I think, when it's dry, so I can really get a crisp finish. So now I want to communicate my neck, so I put on here. Same, like you see here I stop, because just so slightly it's like it can break. So you need to really feel which way you can get. Like this side I can go up, that's okay. Can get away with that one. This one I need to go down, so we'll connect that one. Yeah. Now from my edge, the ball. So now my handle is roughly done for me now. Now I just go at the ball again with the tip of my knife, turning, because it's a really moving object here. Go again. Here. Put in that chamfer really nicely, so it's nice and subtle. Okay, get back to the bowl. You see, this is not communicating like the way I want it. So I'm gonna bring this a bit down. Like when I dry it, now it's on a 90 degrees angle. When it's dry and I finish cut it, I bring it down towards this angle. So when you look on top of the spoon, you just see the silhouette of the spoon, not the rest of the spoon. So that's important to know. Now it's still 90 degrees. You want it like a little bit inwards. That's something I do when I like finish cuts. So yeah, it's really a game of back and forward now. Getting this in, this flat one. And then we start on the neck as well. Work a bit further on the neck. So I'm quite confident there's still enough wood left there, so I can take off. Even can go back to the chest lever a bit. Keep feeling, that's the most important part. Now I'm trying to connect these even more. So what I'll do is I like to want to cut them. Again, the turning. Connecting them with the edge. So you have one fluent movement, no hard stops that can create cracks or like mechanical disadvantages. So I'm looking towards this. I want to have like a nice like leaf shaped almost connection. Also it takes off a bit of the weight on the spoon, makes it look really elegant. So just blend it in later on and get thinner to that edge. It's really nice. One last pass. Now I will just let it dry for more because it's really fresh. So when it's really fresh, sometimes the wood can be really fuzzy or do not get like a nice finish cut. So we just go over it and get all the high points now. So it's okay. Like here I have still a thick point. So yeah, get back here still a bit. So you want to even it out everywhere. So even like when it's drying, you won't have much effect of torque. Sometimes on the piece of wood you can have a lot of torque. So when it's drying, sometimes it doesn't dry the way you want it to dry. And that's, yeah, sometimes it can be like warping your whole piece. It also depends on where you cut it out of the log. If you get it out of a trunk, sometimes it's more useful to like be torquing on you. But hey, you can sell it then as a left-handed spoon or a right-handed spoon when it's like whoop, all wiggly. You can say it's intentional. Like it's really nice here, the light is really nice, so you can like look in natural light, because when you carve at night, like after work in the winter time, you just like now just say, okay, it's good enough. I'll stop and have a look at it in like daylight, because then you see so much more like facets and where you have missed a piece. Or that's really, I tend to carve a lot at night sometimes after work, with next to the stove, the wood burner. It's really nice, but you never can get like the nice finish on it. You miss some bits and bobs. So yeah, just go over it again, once again with the spoon knife to like clean it up, clean my forms. I will use another one. Clean up the form. I use this one. This is my old Mora, but it's a bit modified. I just like got rid of the bevels at the back. I still keep going back to this little knife. They are good quality price, and I saw Lee has got a great video with Zed on like getting those facets out, because this one is a really nice one to get like in the back of my spoon. I can really get in those tight curves, and that's really nice. So I can really like get in the back, get that form I'm really searching for. It's really nice little neat tool. And once reground, it's like, wow, you can, yeah.
I think it's also important to say that for those watching who are maybe newer to spoon carving, that you don't need to go out and buy loads of spoon knives.
No, not at all. If you just, we have lots of makers right now, like, yeah, that present really nice tools. But just, if you just get one hook knife, just a nice profiled axe, and one sloy knife, then you're out. It's, you don't need like loads of tools. That's a nice thing about spoon carving. It's so rudimentary. So now I'm just like connecting. I'm feeling with the back of my spoon knife where my flow is of my bowl. So I really want every facet inside my bowl to communicate. So sometimes I don't cut, sometimes I cut, just like rubbing in the back. If I feel there's a bump, just take it out. But now I'm mostly looking for my form. Really need to get into that tight curve here. Yeah, spoon carving, it's amazing. This one is a double-sided one, so I cannot assist it. It says edges on both sides. It's really nice. It's really handy. Sometimes I can like even like hold it like this and clean out the spoon. I'm not used to using that a lot, but yeah, you have people doing magic stuff with it. Trying to get rid of this little high spot here. And then I'll hold on to let it dry. Yeah, I'm happy with this. Just let it dry, just especially because it's alder, I would let it dry. Still a bit rough, something I will go over again with the more open one, because that disturbs me.
So while you're kind of finishing this off, a couple of things to talk about. So for those maybe a little bit newer to spoon carving, why do you go through the process of letting it dry before doing finishing cuts?
Yeah, so now there's a lot of moisture in the wood. The fibers are a bit risen, more voluminous, and when you let the spoon dry, you can get a really nice glancing cut. You compress the fibers. So now what happens is when we get a cut, the wood fibers compress, but they slightly come back up, and they keep standing more open. So the cool thing about like knife finish is the moment when we have a dried spoon, we go over it really lightly, just like really finishing cuts really lightly, no big cuts anymore. then you can get a really nice glossy finish. And the thing is, you compress when your knife, you compress the fibers really nicely with the knife and get it almost closed up. So it's a really food safe finish as well. Less bacteria get inside it before sealing with oil, of course. But yeah, it's really worth it. Like I said, you have some hardwoods you can just finish off right away, straight away, because they are so dense. You can get a really nice cut, but I always promote finish cuts, even if it's like a dense wood. It gives so much more edge to your spoon. Yeah.
And so the two final parts of the process, while you're doing these finishing cuts to talk about. So assuming the spoon is completely finished,
Yeah.
what is your personal process for drying the spoon?
I put it in a linen bag. I have some linen bags with me, just like my wife made me some. And I just put them in a linen bag and let them dry on a cool place, not too hot, not in the sun or not near any heat source. Just a calm place to let it dry. Not out in the open, because then you get the warping, the cracks. Maybe you can add some wood shavings, but personally just put it in a linen bag. That's all. That's perfect, yeah.
And then finally, oiling. What is your personal preference for oiling?
Oh man, that that's a big. Well, yeah, I've been experimenting. I first began with walnut oil because it gives a really nice color to the wood, but it takes ages to get polymerized, and polymerized is when the structure of the oil hardens out. It creates some sort of a lacquer, food-safe lacquer on the wood, and walnut is really nice, but it takes ages. It eventually dries out, but it's not the same like you have linseed. Linseed is crazy. Linseed is really hard polymerizing, so you can even get a really nice glossy finish out of linseed. But yeah, now recently I've been using tongue oil with a little bit of beeswax, and I'm really happy with that. And today I've used like the tongue oil with citric. I think it's from milk paint. Wow, it's so nice. It doesn't have the strong smell like that can put people off. So yeah, I would say go with whatever floats your boat. You cannot do wrong. Just don't use olive oil or any other oil. Like mineral oil is perfect, walnut is perfect, linseed, tongue. Yeah, you have tree rex or what is it? You have different oils you can use. So yeah, just use what works best for you. The most important thing is I tend to say people to stay away from like oil baiting. Like let your spoon sit in an oil bath. I don't promote that because it blocks the rest of the drying capacity of your oil. It only dries out a little piece, a little bit. So I always say put some oil on it, wipe it back off with a cloth, and let it dry in the sun or in nice warm weather, and put some multiple layers on it. So that's really nice. Then you get a really nice sealed up finish. But yeah, you have even people who say they don't need to finish the spoon with oil. So it's really a matter of own opinions.
So to recap, at this stage, what you would typically do is you would let it dry for a while and then come back and do the absolute final finishing cuts.
Yeah, mostly like in these temperatures, I'll put it in the bag and I would let it dry for like 2 days, and then I will feel with my lips. Like if my lips stick to the wood, I know it's really dry, and then I know I can get over it and just have some nice finish cuts on it. And yeah, but mostly it takes like take about a week to really nicely dry out and have a nice dry spoon. And then finish cut it. I also burnish my spoons. That's maybe an important part. I burnish them a lot as well before oiling. So I have my finish cuts, let it dry, have my finish cuts, and then burnish the whole spoon and oil it. Yeah.
So there you have it, my friends. That is a wrap for this video. Nico.
Yeah, Zed.
You superstar. right? Two things I need to mention. Number one, English is not his first language. So it's incredibly difficult when you're speaking in a language that is not native to you, but then also trying to explain things on video, which is a very, very difficult thing to do. So you did incredibly well.
Oh, thanks,
I know
yeah.
anyone I've collaborated with whose English is not their first language are always very conscious, right? But you did amazingly well. And as I always say, your English is 1,000,000 times better than my Flemish, right? And so there's that. Secondly, is this the first time you've shown your process on video and YouTube video?
Yeah, this is definitely my first time I showed the whole process.
Yeah.
Pretty.
So there's that as well, right? So for a first time, it's an absolute natural. I always say this to people I collaborate with on video, that the less you hear me talking during the actual video itself, apart from the intro and the outro, it means they're doing an amazing job. So I only kind of chime in when I feel there's a question or maybe there's a discussion to be had. But the fact you hardly heard me talk through this video is testament to how great Nico's teaching was. So just a recap over everything. Like I said, this is part one of our two-part series. I'm filming with Nico here at the Bowl Gathering in Hereford in the west of England. Now in part two, what we're going to be looking at is Nico's process for coal rosing and all the associated skills that go along with that process. So that video is already out by the time you're watching this. A link to that will be below in the description, as well as pinned to the top of the comments. Highly recommend you check that out. This is where Nico really comes to life with his tattoo background and the absolute incredible designs that he does. As we showed at the beginning of this video, his selection of spoons, we intentionally didn't talk about the coal rosing design because we're going to do that in video number 2. Also, just to kind of stress once again that Nico has very kindly taken time out to produce a template based on the spoon that is carved today, and that is available for free for you to access. To access that, there will be a link below once again in the description and as well as pinned to the top of the comments. So I highly recommend you go check that out, and you can go and access that for free. And the encouragement from Nico to yourself is to give it a go. Using the tuition from this video from Nico, as well as a spoon template, you've got everything you need to go out there and conquer the world, man. We're cooking and eating spoons, right? So you've got that as a downloadable template. We've taken the time out to do timestamps along this entire section of this video. Once again, it's an obvious thing to state, this is a long video. Typically, if you go to learn something like this in person from Nico or any other kind of carving instructor, it will typically take a whole day. So the fact is, Nico was really eager to show the entire process so that it will help you regardless of where you're at in your journey, a beginner, intermediate, or even an advanced. So all the timestamps are below, and once again, all of them are in the description below. If you click on the time on the left hand side, YouTube has a very cool feature. It will jump straight to that particular section. So like I said, that's all the kind of references for this video, and the idea with this video is hopefully Nico's inspired you and helped you in some way regardless of where you're at in your journey. A couple of things to ask you, Nico, in case anyone is curious. So obviously you're based in Belgium.
Yeah.
So you mentioned at the beginning of this video that you do teach, you do run some workshops, etc. So if there are people watching, if they're in Belgium, Netherlands, or just anywhere that are willing to come down, what is the process for that, to kind of speak to you about learning from you and coming to spend time with you?
Yeah, just contact me up on Instagram or through my website, and I'll be happy to give you some place to sleep in my garden and can have a lovely day. Yeah, also, just contact me. Yeah.
So if you've got any questions or queries you'd like to see Nico, then obviously contact him. Link below to his Instagram and his website. And like I said, go and check that out. Nico's very approachable. And like I said, I know he's got sharp tools, but he's not dangerous, right? So you can approach him, speak to him, any questions or queries that you have. And in particular, if you want to go and see him in any shape or form, or even invite him down, right, to an event or gathering or something that you've got going on, I'm sure Nico will entertain the prospect of that. Alongside with that, you do obviously get involved with events, in particular the Belgium and the Netherlands, right? You teach and stuff.
Yep.
So would you like maybe just talk also a little bit about that, about the events that you're doing in Belgium that you're part of, and also the Netherlands?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. We have 2 fantastic festivals in Flanders and in Holland as well. They are organized by 2 great people. Like the one in Flanders is organized by Harold and Thomas, 2 great spoon carvers. And yeah, it's I think the second year. This year we have one, and it's been a success already. So we have even Andrea Grad coming by, Myron Unrow coming by. So yeah, it's a bit like the same setup like a spoon fest or like a spoon town. It's just the same. Like we have some pre-fest classes and some classes during the weekend, and yeah, the same for Holland. It's organized by Job and Shores and Morris from Eemlepel. They are 3 gents, really nice guys. So yeah, it's just the same setup.
So what I'll do, if you know, it would be good to get the word out there about the events in the Netherlands and Belgium. What I'll do is the events that Nico has just mentioned, I'll put them down below in the description. Definitely go check out those events. Those guys are doing some great things, and it's good to see the communities flourishing in other countries, right? It's not just the UK or Sweden, right? It's like there's a lot of countries now. It's really emerging. There's some great people, some great things going on. So whether you are in Belgium and or the Netherlands, or you just simply want to commute down there, regardless of where you're at, then once again, links to those events will be down below, and you'll be able to meet Nico in the flesh, as well as some of the events outside, you know, in terms of here in the UK, elsewhere. But by following him on Instagram as well as his website, you'll be able to be kept up to date of what Nico has going on. You know, he's immersed in this full time along with his arborist work. So this is what he does. He's very passionate about this. So that leads me on to one of the final things, and that is a link below will be to the spoon template, but on there, obviously you can now go to the rest of his website. Now, one thing Nico is working on is to have his website in both Flemish and in English. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's completely correct, yeah.
Yeah, so you know, you'll be catered for both. If you speak any of those two languages, then you'll be good, be able to go to his website. And on his website, you'll be able to find out all the other information, the wares that he sells, the workshop that he runs, what he's getting up to, events he's attending, etc. So the website is a fantastic way of doing that. And once again, if you go to that spoon template page, from there you can go out to the rest of his website. And second thing is we'll be putting a link below to his Instagram. He's very active on there. And plus you can see visually all the work that he's getting up to and continues to get up to. I'm going to say as a final request, I don't even ask people to subscribe to my channel, right? I don't ask for anything. All I ask for is one thing. If you gain any value from this video whatsoever, it will mean the world to me. You go check out his website and you give him a follow on Instagram. And that's all I ask for in return. And it's also our way of saying thank you to Nico for taking the time out.
It's my pleasure.
To share everything that he knows about this particular topic and be willing to allow me into his space to document this so that it may help you out. And one final request I do have, I always have final things, right, in my conclusion, and that is if you do carve a spoon based on this design using Nico's template, which we highly recommend that you do, it will mean the world to us that wherever you post it on social media, tag Nico. Right, let him know. I'm sure he'd love to see.
Oh man, yeah.
You know,
Curious.
people carving based on the design that he's making available to you for free. So on that note, before we kind of end this video, is there any encouragement from you to those that are watching? You have beginners, intermediate, and advanced, but those are, I would say, kind of more newer or just still on that kind of early phase of their journey in spoon carving. Is there any kind of word of encouragement or advice from you, or things that you experienced that maybe you could share your learnings from to those that are watching?
Yeah, sure, because you know the spoon carving community in general is really warming, really welcoming, and sometimes like if you look up to certain persons in the carving world, you tend to like stay away from them and say, wow, they are such a high level and I'm just beginner or intermediate and I'm struggling with this or struggling with that. All the carvers I met, all the crafts people I met, they are really helpful, really willingly to just talk you through and help you conquer that next step. And it's really important to stay communicating and not living on your own island, your spoon island, because sometimes it gets really captivating and you get strung up in your ways and get like caught up as well. So reach out to the other carvers and yeah, just have your way and keep pushing. That's important. Just you will get to a phase you're like saying, I cannot get further anymore. Just be the maker of your own happiness. So keep pushing.
I think most spoon carvers and carving people, and even crafts people in general, I would say most are quite introverted.
Yeah.
And we like our own space, right? I'm definitely like that. It may not seem like that because I do videos, but trust me, I am. And what you just said is actually very, very important. Listen, go and do your own thing. Have your own space. Get on with it. But occasionally, go and meet others, like-minded people.
Yeah.
It will absolutely expand your horizons like you wouldn't believe. I also encourage on that note, for example, tools, right? Especially if you're new. You know, you may be thinking of seeing some fancy tools that Nico's using or anyone else is using. The advantage of connecting with other people in person is that you can see things physically, right? You can hold tools. I can ask Nico, well, what did you think of the axe? And what did you think of this? And you get inspiration and ideas and things. Listen, videos are an amazing resource, okay? Absolutely fantastic. But I always say nothing beats doing things in person. right? Learning, experiencing, sharing, teaching, etc. Nothing. And when you're in person connecting with others, even if you afterwards you go back to your cave and you hide away for the rest of the year, it doesn't matter. But now what you do in person, it allows you to just add this dynamism, you know, and expand your visions and horizons. And listen, even if someone's a complete beginner, they'll still have something to teach you.
Oh man, yeah,
right?
definitely.
You learn things like how they. Yeah, I remember I met this beginner at one of the events this year in the UK, and this lady, really lovely lady, very, very new to it, and she made her own tool roll, and it was amazing. And she thought, I've got nothing to share, I've got nothing to give. I was like, you have, look at your tool roll. And she explained to me how she did it, and it was so cool the way she did it. So everyone's got something always to share, but coming back to your point, I think it's very important that occasionally reach out to others, you know, local to you. I appreciate in certain countries and parts of the world that may be very difficult for you to do. At the very least, on social media, connect with people, you know. Like you said, there's some really wonderful people from all over the world. A lot of people I've never even met in person, but because of that interaction online, the inspiration, the ideas and stuff, and, you know, so yeah, sorry, I just wanted to add on a little bit to what you're saying. So
Encapsulated it all. Yeah, perfect.
So Nico, thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you, Seth.
Right, guys, there you go. That is a wrap for this video. Links to everything that we've discussed are down below in the description. And now that you finished this video, go and check out video number 2 on watching Nico do Carve rosin, influenced by his tattoo background. And that is it, guys. Really do appreciate you watching up until the end of this video if you have done already. Like I said, links to everything down below. And I shall see you on the part 2 of this 2-part series with Nico. And that is a wrap for this video. As always, I hope whatever you're doing, you have a blessed day, a blessed week ahead. From myself, Zed Outdoors, and Nico, peace out.